morning. Do you hear me? Good morning. Yes. Good morning. My name is Murielle Elizéon, and I am the co-director with Tommy Noonan of a non-profit organization called Culture Mill, which is based here in Saxe-Poho. We're going to lead several different activities that are going to lead to the choice of your microlab. So please stay with us. And so I am a dancer, performer, choreographer. So my instrument is the body. And what strikes me by listening to all of the talks is that it's all related to the body. And it's all related to what we brought us here, which is the body. And then there is other things that I have my little vintage notes here. Because it has been going on as in the whole morning, and there were several things that I picked up that to do with accepting the privilege to have a healthy body, accepting that, having the courage. Are we really doing what we think we are doing? Curiosity to find the appropriate response. If you don't go, you don't know. And how do we look at what we think we know in another way? And these are all questions that I would like to put into practice just right now by inviting you to consider your own body, by inviting you to actually put down your little notes, your little tablets, your telephones, if at all possible. And we were talking about comfort zones. Well, here we go. Let's put down the telephones. And I will ask you to consider your own body. And doing that, bring your knee towards your chest. And consider what you think you know about your body. Bring it towards your chest and then drop it. And the other one, bring it towards your chest. Drop it. Feel the ground under your feet. Do you feel the ground under your feet? Yeah, and I'm going to ask you to sink down in your chair. Maybe you're already thinking. Sink down. And now bring your spine up. Bring yourself up. We were speaking about dignity. And we are considering our body and the respect to that. So bringing yourself up and floating your head up. And please do it. Like it's whatever time it is. Like, go away from the comfort zone. We have been with ourselves and our brain, and how do we bring ourselves into presence just right now with our body so that we can work better together? So let's float the head up. I want to see those heads floating up. Thank you. And consider your hands. Consider your hands. Look at them. Feel the contact of the skin on your thighs, on your the fabric of your clothes. Then flip them over. Consider the geography of your hands. We have been listening to really intense talk that has to do with the body and the body disappearing. How is your body just right now? Consider the skin of your hands. We heard a lot about Ebola, and I want to consider the skin of your hands. The surface. So go ahead and just for a moment, this is the interface to the world. That's what we all have here and there. So consider that for a moment and really be curious about it. How can we be curious about something we think we know already? So go for it. And I ask you to go a little bit inward. We have been outward with presentation. So really be with the skin, with the geography of the skin. I never considered that before my father died, and I saw him die, and then I considered the skin in a different way. And I'm sure you all have this kind of experience. How do you consider your skin? When you're done with one hand, thinking of privilege, we have two, most of us here, most of us. So consider this privilege. It's not moral, it's just feeling your skin. And from that, go a little bit deeper now to the flesh, to the muscles. And be with your hands. I will be speaking, you're going to be hearing me. And there were one thing that stick with me that, I'm sorry, I'm going to say only first name, Michael said, we need to listen if you want to be heard. How do we listen? So listen to your muscles just right now. Going down to the flesh, where the blood is, where the blood plus the muscle, what brings you into action. Go to the muscles. And now go to the bones. Feel the bones of your hands. Continue being curious. Maybe there is something rising. Oh, I know this. Well, maybe not. What if not? What if all the skills that we have, we need to renegotiate them, re-question that in another way, so we can really collaborate and really innovate. And when you're done with your hands, if you're ready for this, and if you are comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and bring your hands to your face. And the same process was 3 layers: the skin, the interface to the word, how much can you be with that? How much can you be curious? How much can you bring focus to something that you think you know? What else is there? To the bones, all the way to the bones. And notice what is there. Notice the warmth, notice the air, the different texture. And then you're going to bring your elbow to your thigh for a second. And bring your forehead to your hands. Just staying there for one moment. Just being with that. Being with the 3 layers of the skin, the muscles, the bone, and I'm going to add a 4th layer, and this is your brain. Your brain dropping towards your hands, towards the bone, towards the muscle, towards the skin, toward everything that you have to interact with the world. And I will ask you to take 3 breaths just with that. And you can raise your head up slowly, and keeping this curiosity to your body, I'm going to hand the next to Tommy.
So, hi. I would like to share a quote from social theorist Brian Masumi, who writes that the skin is faster than the word. So I'll just say it again. The skin is faster than the word. What he's talking about is the ways in which our bodies can process certain kinds of information, certain kinds of knowledge, quicker, in some cases, than the linguistically constructed ways in which we think. And coming from dance and art, athletes as well know this intuitively. So holding that thought, I also want to bring back into our awareness, considering all of these words that we've heard with innovation, with collaboration, I want to bring the subject of a 2010 TED Talk by Tom Wojcik about the Marshmallow Challenge. And a number of you may have heard this, or you may know this. But what this was a design problem, essentially, where groups of people were asked within a time limit to create a structure, a physical structure. And they were given some materials. They were given some dried pasta, some string, some tape, about 10 minutes, and a marshmallow. And they had to work together and build the tallest structure possible with a marshmallow on top. And one of the things in his talk that Wojcik noticed was one of the consistently worst performing groups in this was recent graduates of business school. And he noticed that what these business school graduates did is they sat around and they analyzed and they thought of great ideas, like great ideas. And they spent most of their time planning out perfect ideas, and then at the end they'd put it together, and then they'd go like, you know, and there were problems, and it was kind of, you know, it worked, but it wasn't great. And they were consistently outperformed by another group, which is recent graduates of kindergarten. And what the kindergartners would do, according to Wojcik, is they would just start. They would just start working. And they would basically engage in action. I'm trying to bring up the word action on the screen. You don't really need these words. You can just listen to me. And they got started. Thank you. They spent most of their time just doing prototyping, reinventing, and there's a lot of things you can say about this anecdote. One thing that I would like to that interests me is the particular way in which they engaged in collaborative action. And it was a kind of a collaborative action where there was not a plan and there was not a structure of authority. So it was a little bit chaotic, and they collaborated without sort of a sense of, like a project manager or, any kind of system in their collaboration. I thought this was interesting. The other point, which I think is interesting about this anecdote, is the way in which they engaged in embodied collaborative action. So, the distinction I would draw here is that they just started with their bodies. They got to work. And this is different, I think, than starting with ideas and starting with their minds. And many of the structures that they produced were not only more functional and taller, but they were like wildly creative and innovative. And so there's a way in which they got to work and they produced something that no one could have known, would have happened. So these ideas, many of you know these kind of ideas. The way that Google has reinvented the workplace and the sort of open source and collaborative action and even embodiment. But one thing that is really interesting to me is right now, even as I'm telling you this, it's still an idea. Like you're sitting there, I'm talking about it. That's what's happening in this room. So I have a question around this sort of thing, which is how do we practice? And practice is an interesting thing to me, and it's interesting, and it's very intuitive, again, to a lot of artists, because we have this idea of practice makes perfect. And practice is, it's different than implementation, because with practice, you're not working all the time with high stakes. You're not working all the time with a crisis situation. But what you're doing is you are finding a way to take knowledge and embody it. And there's a New Guinea proverb which says that knowledge is only a rumor until it's in the muscle, which I really like. And so I think it's important sometimes that we ask ourselves, how do we practice embodied collaborative action? How do we put these ideas into practice in little playful ways so that we can all get better at them? So that is sort of a driving interest, and it's going to inform a little bit of what we're going to do next. It will also be the point we're going to go into in a much deeper way in our microlab tomorrow. But right now, we have to choose our microlabs. So what I would like everyone to do first, wherever you're sitting, is like all of your things, we're all going to move from where we are. So just like put away your laptops and stay with me because you're going to need to choose your microlabs. But put away your laptops, take everything, gather it up because you're going to move out of your seat. And what we're going to do, you can do this and listen to me. What we're going to do is we are all going to take about 10 minutes, and we are all going to take these chairs that you're sitting in, and we're going to move them because we're going to create as big of an open space as possible in the middle of this room. And I don't know exactly. Oh, we have a question. Yes, I do know that.
Yes.
This is a design problem.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things in here. You cannot cut them. There's several rules. You cannot cut the links to your chairs. I know that they're linked together. There are also expensive things like the camera, people. People, not expensive but valuable in a different way. And so art, So we all have to take care of these things, and we have to figure out how we're going to do this. And we're basically just going to create as open a space as possible. And there needs to be, here's another rule, there needs to be a clear lane from that door to the open space, and from this door to the open space. Otherwise, we need to be respectful of each other's things. We need to work together, and we're going to do it also without speaking, unless it's absolutely necessary. You know, like that iPad's about to get smashed. Look out. You know.
And maybe it's not. Sometimes it's not necessary.
Right.
It's just needed action.
So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to do 10 minutes of that, and at the end of that, what we're all going to do is we're going to convene. Maybe it's less than 10 minutes, just in this open space. We're just going to stand here, and then we'll await further instructions. So when I say go, what we're not going to do is stand up and go like, oh, what an interesting presentation. No, we're going to get to work. 1, 2, 3, go.
The puppets. Sure. Okay. It's a song called Nice Way to.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Come to the middle, all right? Let's get them to the middle when they're finished.
Some arranging happening.
That's cool. These fuzz are going through first.
So, yeah, well, this is happening now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let it breathe. It's fine. Because you're not going to see them.
Yeah.
Yes, we are here. Take over.
Cool. All right, so you guys did amazingly well. That was incredible. Give yourselves a hand, actually. Yeah. So this fellow here is Father Time, and he's part of PaperHand Puppet Intervention, which is based here in Saxe-Bahal. And if you will look around, you'll notice that there are also some signs which are being held. And these signs, each of them represent a microlab. And they are, looks like some light blue ones, which all represent the first microlab, and then there will be second microlabs and third microlabs. There's a whole set of each, first, second, and third microlabs. And what we're going to do is, again, Father Time is going to remind us that we have a limited time to work in. And we're going to choose. And the way that we're going to choose our microlabs is, hopefully you've already looked in your booklets a little bit. Maybe you already have an idea of which microlab you want to choose. And if you don't, you can look quickly as you go through this. But you're going to have 3 minutes to choose your first microlab of these that are standing here. And the way that you are going to choose is you are going to walk your bodies or move or crawl your bodies. And I would like to ask you, just for fun, because we should do that, because play is important, to not walk in a straight line. Let's just walk in curves. You're going to go to, and not yet, you're going to go to the microlab of your choosing. And when you get there, the puppet parade leader holding the sign will have a tray, and they will have some tickets in that tray. And when you know that you want that microlab, you will take a ticket and you will stand there.
One more thing. You're going to walk in curve, and you have a goal, and you have a journey. Both are important. That's why you walk in curves.
So once you get there, and once everyone is stayed and isn't wandering around and has stayed with the microlab, the first microlab that you choose, we're going to do it again for the second microlab, and then we're going to do it again for the third. And then you will have your 3 microlabs, and then you can all eat lunch. So we're going to take 3 minutes. Father Time will remind us, and we will also have a clock on here. And please, let's let the parade leaders step back a little bit. So let's all the folks in the puppet heads just step back a little bit. And the people, you can come in, participants in the conference can come into the middle so that you can see what these signs are. Exactly. And let's all be aware of each other, not only of what you want as an individual goal. And let's start the clock, and let's do 3 minutes until you have chosen and you are standing next to your microlab. Go.
Go.
Good. This is working perfectly. tell them about the second microlab. One minute left.
What? Five seconds. 5 seconds.
All right, and we've finished. Well done. So, parade leaders, would you please switch your signs to the second microlab? So, I'm going to give them a minute, and they're going to put up red signs. This is the second microlab today. We'll give them all a second to get their signs up.
Make sure that you hold them high. Yes, thank you. Clock.
And let's give 3 minutes again. Same routine.
Walking in curves. One minute left. 1 minute left.
All right, well done. Microlab parade leaders, let's change to the third set of microlabs. Now this is the set of microlabs which will be taking place tomorrow. I believe they are just about all up.
Bring
Yes.
them up, bring them up.
Bring them up high,
Bring them up.
puppeteers.
Thank you for your arms.
And let's go ahead and start the clock and do 3 more minutes, the exact same activity. I'm gonna say, yeah, sure.
Got that? They are just starting to get into lunch.
There's just about 1 minute left. And if I could remind everyone to stay here for that minute, even if you've chosen your microlab, a couple of important announcements will happen afterwards. You're good. Okay, that is time. So if I could have just everyone's attention for one more moment, and then we're going to let you go. Thanks. Just a quick announcement. Keynote speaker Patrick Meyer, who gave the first presentation, he will be conducting a special lunchtime microlab in the Eddy Farm Room, which is around the side upstairs. Ask a SwitchPoint staff person with the t-shirt if you need help where that is. That will be happening during lunch, as well as DJ Direwolf with PaperHand Puppet Intervention. They won't be doing a microlab, but they will just be providing some really nice atmosphere down in the amphitheater with music and puppetry. Why not? So enjoy your lunch, and thank you so much for being attentive.
Thank you. Thank you.